Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to do a little review slash just give my thoughts on Kingyo Used books by Seimu Yoshizaki, I believe is how you pronounce that, I'm not sure. Um, this is, in North America or in English, a 4-volume series. However, I believe in Japan it was quite a long series, but this is all we got in English, unfortunately, is these 4 volumes. This is released by Viz under their signature Iki logo, and these are the larger trim format with the nice French flaps and the matte covers and everything like that. This is a series that I found out about through Laura over on Manga Hoarder. I think she's the only person I've seen talk about this series. I could be wrong, but the only person that I have personally seen talk about this, and I'm so glad she did because this was so good. The 4 volumes that we have are absolutely worth buying. I highly recommend it. These are short stories, kind of episodic stories set in this manga used bookstore. So they only sell manga, but they have tons of manga. And this is kind of the main character, sort of. She's the granddaughter, I believe, of the owner of the store. And so she works at Kingyo Used Books, which is the name of the bookstore. And there's a bunch of different recurring characters, like some of the employees, and then also some people who buy and sell manga that frequent the store. But for the most part, this is individual, I believe, five stories per, or 5 chapters per volume, all kind of short episodic stories about a person either coming to rediscover manga in their adulthood, or kids who are being influenced by manga in some way and they somehow come in contact with this store. It's just a bunch of different random stories about people's lives being enriched by manga. And the art is pretty cool. It's different. The character designs are quite different. Sometimes there's like backgrounds and things like that, but I mean, the art overall is quite nice. My favorite shots are of when they're in the store and there's just tons and tons of manga in the background. Yeah, the other good thing about this series is that any manga that is referenced, sometimes there's little, I don't know if I can find one now that I'm trying to look for it, but in the margins there will be like little text things about, like here, about what the series that they're talking about in here is. And then at the end of the volume, if you're looking for some more in-depth kind of stuff, then any of the ones that they mentioned that were like kind of the main staple manga mentioned in each short story, there is quite a lot of information about the titles mentioned in this series, which is quite interesting. If you love manga and love to learn about manga and the history of manga and some older manga that we may not even have heard of here because it didn't come over and get translated, it's really interesting to read about. But if you're not interested in any of that and you just want to read the story, like, you can just do that. But it is nice to have those references and be able to read about the manga that they're talking about in here, especially if it's something you've never heard of. So overall, the stories are all very feel-good stories. They all, if you're a manga fan, which I'm assuming you are if you're watching this video, if you love manga, I think you will love this. This is slice of life kind of feel, but if you love manga, you will relate to this because this is a story about people who love manga, or maybe they hate manga and they come to love it in their chapter that's about them, or they loved manga when they were a kid but they thought it was just for kids, so they grew out of it and now they're rediscovering it. This is just stories about people who are going through stuff in their life and then they end up finding this used bookstore, they end up rediscovering or discovering manga for the first time and the joy that it can bring to your life. And I'm sure, like, as an adult, I am an adult, I started reading manga when I was a kid, but now that I'm an adult, lots of people go, oh, wow, you're still reading picture books, you know? And this story is about most of them are adults. Sometimes there's teenagers and kids, but most of the stories are about adults, and manga can be enjoyed by anybody and everybody. And I think that's the core message this series tries to get across, is that manga is for everybody from all different walks of life, from all different age groups, genders, and you know, likes and interests and whatever, and genres and things like that. There's something for everyone. And this bookstore that has an endless supply of manga, of used manga, so they have rare stuff, they have out of print stuff, they have just like thousands and thousands of volumes. There's always something for everyone. Um, and anybody could go in there and find something that they find enjoyable. And it's a feel good series if you love manga, to read about other people who love manga. Um, and it's it's just really, really good, and I'm really glad that Laura had talked about this in her videos, because I would never have heard of it otherwise. And like I said, unfortunately, we only got 4 volumes of it, but these 4 volumes are absolutely wonderful, and because they're episodic short stories, um, it doesn't feel like you're being left right in the dead middle of a series or something. There's no cliffhanger, there's nothing, because it's just episodic stories. And you can just imagine that life continues on. And I'm sure that even the end of the series, wherever it is in Japan, um, I'm sure that life just carries on after the end of the actual series as well, because of how episodic and slice of life-ish this story is. Yeah, but I highly, highly recommend picking this up if you love manga as much as I do, as much as most people on YouTube who are making videos about manga do. Highly recommend picking this up. Kingyo Used books, and it's not newly released here, so I'm not sure if it's going to go out of print at some point soon, but it's not a new title, so if you are looking to pick it up, I'd probably recommend doing it sooner rather than later. Yeah. Anyway, if you have any questions about this series, or you have read it and you want to chat about it in the comments, absolutely do so. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching.